welcome. Doing a little somewhat recreational tillage. Got Herman out. For those of you, I think a lot of you know Herman, the Oliver 1950, but I get new viewers all the time, hopefully. And so there's always questions when a video from him does good. So I thought I'd talk about a few of those things. Been a while since I've kind of covered that. This is all factory. The flotation tires were an option. Herman is a 1966 model year, I remember right. And the Terror tires, as they call them, first were available in 1965. White had discontinued the Oliver line of crawlers and felt that they were going to lose a market share with that because the crawlers were very popular in western hillier areas like Idaho. And this one actually came out of Nebraska, the Sandhills area. But so it was partially for flotation, but a lot of it was stability that the crawler guys were used to. And so you had four-wheel drive, and the big tires kept her in place, gave you lots of traction, lots of flotation. The 1950 came factory with the Detroit diesel, or GM diesel. 453, this is a two-stroke diesel, and on the left side of the engine is a blower that forces air in. So as the piston comes down, the rings come past the holes that are in the side of the sleeve, and that opens up the air, the fresh air that's coming in from the blower, and the exhaust valves will be open on the top, so that relieves any pressure from combustion. The exhaust leaves out the top because the blower has got pressurized air pushing clean air in from the bottom, the exhaust out the top. Then as the piston comes back up again, it closes off those holes. Compression can happen. The injector puts the fuel in at the right time. Boom, you got ignition again. Cylinder goes down, provides power, and once it gets past those ports, they open up again and let the fresh air in, and the exhaust valves open. So one up, one down. Every time piston goes down, it's providing power. And that has the effect of making it sound like it's running about twice as fast as it really is. I get a lot of comments about how it's just screaming it's going to blow up, and PTO, the rated horsepower speed of this was 2,400 RPMs, and they actually run 2,600 with no load against them. And then that gives you 200 RPM for it to pull down against the governor and get your true horsepower rating. They were rated at 105 PTO horsepower. I had Herman on the dyno, and his governor needs adjusted. He ain't quite getting up to that 2,600 RPM no load situation, so the governor can't kick in at the right speed to get the PTO rating. But I just from what I did get, I'm thinking he's turning around 130 on the PTO, maybe just a little more. I need to get around and do that governor. It's not quite as simple as it is on some of the other tractors where you just adjust a screw. You have to open up the governor and a couple adjustments, and then you really should reset the rack after you do that. But today we're pulling a white 271 disc. This one is an 18-foot width. Oh, Dad bought this one new back somewhere around 1980. Used to pull it with a 2155. It was a pretty good match, especially with the Brillion Crow foot packer back here. Does a nice job on our sandier soils. I know some guys don't like them because, well, this is all corn stubble that packed in there. I can either get it out or it'll work its way back out. But heavy soils like clay, it'll pack in between those wheels and just stay in. But with our sand, it usually comes out pretty good. If I get into some of the heavier spots and it's too wet, I'll just lift the wheels up just a little bit to take some of the weight off the packer wheels. They'll still crumble things up, but not fill up full of clay and mud or whatever, and you just get a couple of wheel tracks, but they're not terrible. I've owned Herman for, what did I get him? I think 2016, somewhere back then. I've owned him a few years now. Maybe it was, yeah, I think it was 2016 I got him. Hard to believe he's been around here that long in some ways. Done a few things to him over the years to slowly improve him. Hydraulic pump was weak. Boy, when I first had him, it was all he had to have the engine wound right up to have enough hydraulics to fold this disc and lift it up and down once everything was warmed up. Now it does it at an idle even when everything's hot with a fresh pump in it. So went through the hydraulics, checked things out in the transmission while I had the hydraulic unit off. Then the next problem was power steering. It was leaking bad. I put a used steering unit in there, and that one only had power one way and started leaking, and I'd had enough of that, and so I come up with a way to convert, put a newer Charlene type steering in there and still keep my original steering column and stuff, so he looks right on the outside. And that's where I eventually put that same modification into Allen's 1650, which there are videos on my channel about that, if you're wondering what all was involved there. And yes, I am wearing hearing protection. It's a must with this Detroit diesel, even with a muffler on it. It's a lot of fuel getting converted into noise, but it's a beautiful noise for those of us that like it. Kind of like guys riding their Harley Davidson. Somewhere out there is a guy that makes mufflers for Harley Davidsons and realizes that his work is for nothing. But I really wanted to get in here. I want to put hay down here on this end of this field in these little shorter rows. In the low spot, some of the wheat went down, and so I want to kind of get it worked up and start breaking, or I don't know, getting this straw worked in, but give a chance for any volunteer wheat to get growing so I can kill that when I do another tillage pass before I plant it to hay. Put in a new seeding. A couple of the old ones look good, but they're getting kind of sparse, so I'm not sure how many more years I have left in them. And this is just kind of a good spot for it. Most of this is sandy, so alfalfa does good on it. But that one low area is a little bit, got some clay in it. So I think somewhere around 8 acres. So, you know, it's July. The wheat's done, the oats are done, second cutting's done. The crunch for time is not nearly as strong, so I could do with this with something bigger, but it's just a gorgeous day today. And so why not go out and have some fun at it? So I'll leave it at that. We'll put some of that Detroit diesel music back in here so you can listen and watch Herman do his thing.